Hello, Lakewood, California! For those of you who don't know me, my name is Scott Pressler. I'm the son of a retired Navy captain. I am that long-haired Eagle Scout. My dad hates it. And yes, I received the Ronald Reagan Award for Freedom at this year's CPAC. But you guys don't know how I got started. I first want to thank President Obama. You see, I graduated from college, George Mason University, with a 3.63, so beauty and brains. I'm joking. But you know, I couldn't find a job. This was after the recession under President Obama. I was working at an elementary school, and President Obama was re-elected for his second term, and it was that night of his re-election that I created my Twitter account. Because I told myself, Scott, you can sit at home, you can whine, you can complain, or do something about it. And so I did. I started volunteering. I met many of you, and I fell in love with politics. And I told myself, you're going to get a job in 2014. And I did. I went down to Texas, and I helped elect Governor Greg Abbott of the great state of Texas. Who is building a wall along the southern border. Finally. Oh,
because the people in the background.
I'm so sorry. Can you hear me now? It was the Democrats. It was Hillary Clinton. She knew we were doing this. She tried to stop me. And I knew how important it was after Antonin Scalia passed away that we maintain a conservative majority on the Supreme Court. So I spent 2 years of my life working to defeat Hillary Clinton. Thank you. In 2019, my life changed forever because do you guys remember when President Trump, he brought up the city of Baltimore, Maryland?
Yes.
Well, I was really disappointed because like myself, in that my inaction in the political sphere helped in part to re-elect President Obama, I was sad that our society, they were so quick to judge the people of Baltimore. They were quick to point the finger. They were quick to blame everybody else. But nobody was offering a solution. They wanted the clicks and the likes, and they wanted the clout on social media. And so as opposed to pointing the finger at everybody else, I pointed it back at me and I said, what are you gonna do about it? So I posted on Twitter and said, I'm going to Baltimore. The tweet, guys, it went viral. Everybody across the country in all 50 states, they wanted to help. And then I was suddenly like, uh-oh. So within 6 days, we organized a cleanup on a Monday, a work day. And with your help and 200 volunteers, we picked up 12 tons of trash in 12 hours in 1 day. I went home to my ma, and I was like, Ma, I'm really good at picking up trash. Agnes, it was at that moment her heart swelled. Because her baby boy, that dog Walker, he done turned into a trash collector. And the reason why I share this story with you and I lead it with it is I really want you guys to understand the power of one. I'm no different than you. I'm an average, ordinary American citizen. The only thing that I did different is in our society is we are so often told to say, who will? And I dared at that moment to say, I will. And that's why I'm so encouraged to see all of your faces here today, because I know that in times of injustice, in times of wrongdoing, that you will step up, that you will take action, that you will be that person who dares to say, I will. And to give you the power, the understanding of what one person can accomplish. In just 2 years' time, we've organized cleanups in Atlanta, Austin, Baltimore, Chicago, Denver, Duquesne, Detroit, Houston, Kenosha, Los Angeles, Miami, Milwaukee, Nashville, Portland, Pittsburgh, Philly. I was even protested for picking up trash in San Francisco, California. Bless their hearts. Do you guys all know what that saying means? Yes. Well, for those of you who don't, because I love telling this story, when I first moved to Texas, I didn't know what that meant. And it was real hot. It was starting to get into the month of May, and I was going around to everyone. I was like, guys, I'm so hot, I'm sweltering. And they'd all kind of cock their head and look at me and say, bless your heart. I called up my mom and dad and I said, Mom, I love Texas. Everyone's so nice. They're all blessing my heart. Come to find out, it means you're dumb as hell. But you're cute. And so I've spent the last 4 years of my life traveling the country, registering thousands of voters, training tens of thousands of volunteers, and yes, cleaning up our cities. And I want people to know this is a movement based on love. And I believe that love is truth, and love is more importantly, action. And I hope that when you leave this event today, you don't just go home and you don't just feel good and you don't just say, I saw Scott and I saw his hair. No, that's really weird. No, don't do that. I want you to go home and be encouraged to do something, whether that's listening to Dan Schultz and becoming a precinct committee man or committee woman, whether that's registering voters, whether that's doing a trash cleanup, whether that's becoming an election day officer. But it's to understand the gravity of the situation that we're facing, because I really want you to understand, I'm doing this, I want you to know, when I travel the country, I'm doing this free of charge. I've never once asked for any money. I'm doing this because I love our country. And we must win this November. We must take the House. We must take the Senate, because the only reason why the Democrats are unable to complete their regressive agenda is, I have to say, God bless Joe Manchin and Kirsten Sinema. If it weren't for them, guys, they would bust the filibuster, meaning that Kamala, do you guys? The Hispanic community calls her Kamala, which I love because it means how bad, how unlucky. Brilliant. Brilliant. Because Kamala would be the isn't that brilliant? You're gonna steal that. That joke has been stolen. She would be the deciding vote on the gun grabbing bill. She would be the deciding vote on DC becoming a 51st state, adding 2 Democratic senators. She would be the deciding vote on federalizing our elections, meaning same-day voter registration, meaning no excuse mail-in voting, meaning we would never be able to win back the White House. And so that means that we must win this November. But I really want to talk about, what does it mean to be a Republican? Because I think that the parties are changing, and what it means to be a Republican is actually changing as well. I think at the foundation of the Republican Party is the Constitution of the United States of America. And in governance, we've seen from the I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. You have to excuse me, as a man who plays for the other side, I try not to put things too close to my nose. Pardon me. So, I want you to understand in governance, the Democrats, they rule by coercion and mandates and force, that they want the state to be in control, to tell you how to run your life, how to run your business, how your children are going to be taught in our schools, that parents shouldn't have a voice. And we as Republicans, we believe in the fundamental principles of liberty, freedom, and choice. And I want to tell you, most importantly, it's not good enough to just have an R behind your name. We've seen that here in the state of California. What it means to be a Republican is an America First ideology. And every politician, you can clap for that. What that means is every candidate should have to undergo the test. That right. Candidate or piece of legislation, if it does not put the well-being, peace, and prosperity of the American people first, then that candidate or piece of legislation must hit the road. Now, what does that mean in terms of legislation? I've traveled to 28 states in 1 year alone. I've listened to you guys. The number one concern that you have voiced to me is you want election integrity. That we have safe and secure, fair and free elections. Is that your biggest concern? Am I right? Now, I have a question for you, and I'm not saying this as an indictment. I'm saying this because I want to use this as a learning experience for how we can make sure that the shenanigans of 2020 never happen again. I want you guys to all close your eyes, and if you served as an election day worker in the 2020 election inside the polls, I want you to raise your hand. I want you to keep your hand up. I want everybody to open your eyes, and I want you to look around the room. Now, you may lower your hands. I'm not saying this again as an indictment, but I'm saying if you care about safe and secure, fair and free elections, if you care about election integrity, then I'm asking you, please, I want you to take off work on election day. I want you to sign up as an election day worker. I want you to sign up for the training, and I want to make sure that we have so many gosh darn conservatives signing up as election day workers that they have to turn us away in 2022. We have to step up, people. There are always going to be shenanigans. Never forget that. Look at what Nancy Pelosi is doing. She said she'd never run again, and lo and behold, she's running for re-election. We have to fill the void. Now, what is the legislation that we hope to pass besides election integrity? The number one issue besides election integrity that Republicans care about, correct me if I'm wrong, is we want medical freedom and patient protection. Now, what does that mean? That means that no American citizen should be fired, should be forced into retirement, should lose their pension, should be forced into another profession for making the personal medical decision not to take the COVID-19 vaccine. And I want you to really think about what this means for our party. Think about people who have historically voted Democrat. Union workers, maybe single families, healthcare professionals, teachers. We as the Republican Party, I believe, have a historic opportunity to fight for working class America. And our message to them is we're going to fight for your families. We're going to fight for your livelihoods. We're going to fight for your jobs. We're going to fight that you, the American citizen, not government, get to dictate how to run your lives. And the groups, this is a plea. And I want you to use this plea to our community, to every police officer, firefighter, nurse, doctor, airline pilot, airline attendant, truckers, teachers, the military, construction workers, grocery store workers. What is the reward for their empathy and compassion that they, for the last 2 years, all of those groups, they've served we the American people in their capacity. They've made sure that we've had supplies at stores, that we've had safety and security, that we could pick up the phone and call someone to rescue us. They've had our backs. Now it is our time as the Republican Party to have their backs. Do you guys think it's wrong that the White House is working with private social media companies to silence political opposition? No, do you think it's wrong? It's wrong! My active listeners, let's try that again. Because we're filming, I want it to look good. Do you think it's wrong that the White House is working with private social media companies to silence political opposition? Yes! Much better. Well, really understand, I read the Constitution. I love that energy. Who did that? Who did that? I'm coming for you. Peacefully, democratically. I want you to understand, in the Constitution, it says Congress may make no law that suppresses the ability of free speech, free press, freedom of religion. But what they're doing is really against the spirit of the Constitution and the spirit of the law. Because no, they're not making a law. They're working with these private companies to silence us. Now, I think that we need further legislation that prohibits the government from working with private companies to silence political dissidents. That is breaking up social media, that is breaking up Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. And furthermore, I want to thank the Democrats. No, I'm serious. Because they've created, besides me doing voter registration, I want to thank Joe Biden. He's the best thing that's happened for the Republican voter registration. Yeah. Thank you, Joe Biden. But really, I want to hone in on this for a second, because the Democrats have gone so far left that I'm actually glad they banned the President of the United States from Twitter, because that was a world-changing moment when the Taliban has a Twitter account, when the Ayatollah can chant death to Israel, death to America. But no, that doesn't go against Twitter's terms of service. But you know what it did? It forced us to create alternative social media applications. And I believe firmly that we're actually in a stronger position today than we were going into 2016 or 2020. We now have Parler, we now have Gab, we now have Telegram, we now have Getter, we now have Truth Social. We are stronger today because of the Democrats trying to silence political opposition. Now let's go into energy independence. How does it make you guys feel that our Keystone Pipeline was shut down? Taking away good paying jobs, taking away energy independence, taking away our ability to have lower gas prices, which, we're in California, that's not saying much. But how does it make you feel doubly that not only did Joe Biden cancel our pipeline, but you know what he did? For everything that the Democrats said about Trump being a Russian asset, what did Joe Biden do? He green-lit the Nord Stream 2, which is a pipeline, by the way, that goes from Russia to Germany. Talk about being a Russian asset. And can you imagine, let's do an overview for a second of what's happened under the Joe Biden administration. Gas prices are up. Food prices are up. Lumber is up. we're on the verge of war with Russia. We have an unsecure border here in California, yet the Democrats are willing to either send boots on the ground or send money to secure Ukraine's border. How do you guys feel about that? Are you for that? No! Does it make any sense that we would spend our money to secure somebody else's border while ours is wide open? And furthermore, because I think you guys really need to hit on this point when you're talking to members of the community. Yes. Coronavirus is a problem, and it's something that we should take seriously. But how can the Democrats expect us to take something so seriously, so deadly, when they lock us down? Yeah. They tell us we can't go to church. They tell us that we must be masked. They tell us that we must be vaccinated. But yet, illegal immigrants are allowed to waltz into our country unmasked, unvaccinated, untested. So no, I need you to push back, because if the Democrats really cared, then they would secure that gosh darn border. I'm sorry, I get fired up. Now, I want to leave you with an encouraging picture of what's happening in our country right now, because I'll say it, after the November election, I was definitely soul crushed, and I'm sure that many of you felt the same way. But that changed for me after the November 2021 election, and in part because with your help, with your support, even here from California, we won the governorship in the Commonwealth of Virginia, flipping it from blue to red. A state that hasn't elected Republicans statewide since 2009. And not only did we win the governorship, the attorney generalship, the lieutenant governorship, the House of Delegates, but get this, the state Senate, which is democratically controlled by one seat, they just recently passed legislation that would require dead voters to be removed every week as opposed to every month. That's good. That's really good. And so if it passed the Senate, guys, even in a blue state like Virginia, we can do election integrity legislation. So I want you to be hopeful about California. Don't leave. No, I'm serious. That wasn't supposed to be funny. No, I'm serious. Fight. And I want to liken you guys to the state of New York. New York and California, both two very large states, large populations, democratic majorities, trifecta state governments, having a state house, a state senate, a governorship. But listen to what we've accomplished in New York. I'm the brand ambassador for Rise PAC. And what we do is we have data on likely Republican unregistered voters. You guys are registered, and wait, let's find out. Who here is registered to vote at your current address? Raise your hand.
Yay! Yes.
Wait, I'm looking, because if you're not, we are going to register you. I'm coming, plaid shirts. Okay, so what we've accomplished in just a few months, because we launched in the spring of last year, is we registered 10,000 new Republican voters in the Long Island area of New York. Now, to give you an idea of what we've accomplished with just those 10,000, in the 2021 election, did you know the state of New York, they voted against a constitutional amendment for same-day voted registration. They voted against a constitutional amendment. Rude. Disrespectful. I'm kidding. Miss Agnes, we're cool. They voted against a constitutional amendment that would allow for no excuse mail-in voting. And guys, if New York can do it, then we can do it. And in 2021, we flipped Nassau County, a historically blue county in Long Island, from blue to red. We helped in part flip 4 city council seats from blue to red. We flipped a district attorney seat who is pro-bail reform, meaning that criminals within 24 hours get back on the streets, from blue blue to red. We flipped state legislative seats from blue to red. The moral of the story is if you guys want to win, and if you want to be competitive, and if you want to elect people that you could actually see yourselves voting for, then we must focus on registering new Republican voters. More good news. Hold on. In the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, a state that we only narrowly lost in 2020, the Democrats in the last couple months have lost 13,000 Democrats. We are out registering the Democrats 2-1 in Pennsylvania. In the state of Florida, for the first time in history, there are now more registered Republicans than Democrats. That has never happened before. We're doing this in Arizona, Florida, North Carolina, Pennsylvania, Nevada, and it can be done here too in California. But it starts with you. You're a state with 40 million people, but only 12 million people vote. What if you encourage those 28 million people who sit out? What if they voted? If we flipped California Republican, the Democrats can never win again. You have the power. I want you guys to know that I'm giving this my all. In this month alone, I was in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Then I went to the Trump rally in Texas. Now I'm here in California for a week. We're going to Chico, Bakersfield, Santa Ana. We did the cleanup yesterday in Los Angeles. Then I'm going straight to Ohio, helping a gubernatorial candidate. Then I'm going to Savannah, Georgia. Then I'm going to Florida. And my entire calendar is booked so far already into July of 2022. I want you guys to know that I feel this within my bones, from the top of my head to the tip of my toes. And I think that freedom is worth fighting for.
Yeah.
And again, if you've taken away anything from my speech today, I hope, please join the Orange County Republican Party, join the Los Angeles County Republican Party, join the Precinct Project, become a precinct committee man, become a precinct committee woman, run for local office, but don't sit back. Don't tell your children when they ask you one day, Mom, Dad, what did you do to stop this? What is your answer going to be to them? Are you going to say, I sat back, I watched it happen, I allowed them to win? Or are you going to say, I fought for the country that I love, and we won?
Yes.
Yeah.
That is the message. Last, I want to give a big shout out to Miss Deanne. Deanne is a wonderful woman most of the time, I'm kidding. And I'm staying at her home right now. She's allowing me to cuddle with her dog, Gracie. And I just want to say thank you to all of you. You guys have changed my life, from meeting Chris and Rose to meeting Miss Agnes, who was kind enough, this woman who is an angel mom, who, when I first met her in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, we were speaking at an event together, and she took her necklace off of her neck, which said build the wall, and gave it to me. I mean, the level of compassion and empathy and love in this room is palpable, and ultimately I hope that's what you're able to express to the voters. This is a movement based on love and faith and freedom and family, and I firmly believe that. And I just wanted to say that I will stand in this fight with you. I hope you will join me. And this November, we are going to shock the world. Thank you, Lakewood, California. Thank you to the Precinct Project. Thank you, California.